Hello, freedom seekers. Jeremy Chambers, Independence Acres Homestead. Oh, well, it's officially fall and the garden is looking a little rough, but it's not quite the end of gardening season here in Michigan. So we'll be cleaning up this bed, so that way we can get the garlic in the ground and it will be ready to grow throughout the winter, and we'll be able to have a nice garlic harvest again in June, July time. This last year was our first time actually growing garlic, and it went really well for us in this bed. So we're gonna double. We just had used half of this bed this last year, so now we're gonna go ahead and use this entire bed back here in order to get our garlic. Now, it's not a huge bed. We're about 3 feet wide and about 8 feet long on this bed. So there's a lot, not a lot of space in there, but we're gonna maximize it. We had only planted about 60 garlic cloves last year, and we're gonna be doubling that this year to about 120. We really enjoy the garlic that we got out of this bed. It's really good, really. Nothing like homegrown garlic. Just like everything else, if it's homegrown, it just tastes a little better. So that's going to be the goal today. But before we worry too much about getting the bed ready, we have to get the garlic itself ready. So we're going to head inside, and we're going to go ahead and get these heads of garlic split up into cloves. So before we can get the garlic in the ground, we need to get it separated into individual cloves. So last year we planted, we had 6 cloves that we took apart. We'd gotten our seed from M.I. Gardner here, Port Huron, Michigan. And that's where we got our seed garlic from. We'd only ordered 6 cloves. And honestly, I don't even remember what variety these are, other than they're a hardneck variety. And so right now we're just gonna work on getting these things peeled and separated into cloves. And then we'll head outside and get these in the ground. Well, then we'll head outside, prep the bed, and get these in the ground. So the garlic is all peeled. Now it's time to get outside and get it in the ground. So while I'm heading outside to plant, Shelly's in here roasting some tomatoes to make some tomato soup. Right, Shell?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So probably not for dinner tonight, but we're going to go ahead and get it prepared just to make dinner prep a little easier later in the week. So there's my nice pan of garlic. I use these pans a lot around the homestead. So I got these at the dollar store. I think they were like 2 for $1 at the end of last year. Use them for seed starting. We use them for drying out our rabbit's feet. Use them for seed saving. So just a little tidbit. Check out your dollar store, your local dollar store, and you might come across some pans that come in pretty handy. All right, so here's the bed where the garlic's going in. And we got a lot going on here. Some cabbages that didn't really take off very well, so we're gonna pull those, pitch those to the chickens to enjoy a little bit. We've got some weeds going on, some creeping Charlie, some lamb's quarter. We'll take the lamb's quarter out, that'll go to the rabbits. Creeping Charlie, we're gonna just destroy it as much as possible. And then we even got a couple radish plants. So there's a radish here, and there's a couple radishes over there. They just some holdovers from actually a year ago when we had this as a radish bed, and some of them went to seed. So we're gonna get this cleaned out, and then we'll go ahead and get the garlic in the ground. So at this point of the game, using the hoe is less about weed reduction, and it's more about just kind of fluffing the soil a little bit to prepare it for the garlic to go in. If we just allow this to stay compacted, it could stunt the growth of our garlic bulbs. So by fluffing the soil a little bit before we put in the cloves, it just gives us that extra space that these cloves are going to need to grow up into large, nice, rich garlic bulbs. Now that the bed is all prepped, the next step is going to be to either make holes or furrows to get the garlic in the ground. So we're going to do our garlic rows about 6 inches apart and about 2 to 3 inches deep. And I'm just going to use my V-notch hoe over here, and we're just going to make a couple, well, let's see, we got a 3-foot bed here, right? So that's how many inches? 36 inches. We should be able to get about 5 rows this, 5 rows this way, and we'll just plant them about 4 to 6 inches apart, going a long ways. So as I mentioned earlier, we'd gotten these varieties from M.I. Gardner in Port Huron, Michigan here last year, and honestly I don't remember what varieties these are, so I'm not even going to worry about trying to separate them based upon size or color or anything of that nature. It was good garlic and we enjoyed it, so I'm just going to go ahead and start plooping these things in the ground. And it really helps if you make the noise too, right? So a little bit of ploop, ploop, about 6 inches in between. So some people want to make sure that they're planted in this orientation, right? This is the area where the roots come out from, right there. And so we want to make sure we get them in the ground going that way. I'm just going to go through and space them out first, and then I'll worry about coming back and making sure they're planted in the proper orientation. All right, I've got the bed all laid out with the way I feel the garlic will be best spaced. We got every clove in there, hoping for a really good harvest next year. I'm gonna go ahead and get these oriented properly in the ground and get them covered up. Garlic's in and it's covered just lightly. We don't want to pat down the dirt. We want to make sure that it's nice and loose on those garlic bulbs. Next step, we're going to take some of this old straw that got wet in that hailstorm that we had months ago, and we're going to just layer about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of hay, old wet hay or straw on top of this. We're going to layer this hay on there just to keep any weeds from starting to grow for the rest of this fall, and then also just to give a little bit of ground cover for the spring. And there we go. We have our garlic bed planted, mulched in, and I won't have to touch it again until spring of next year. Now, if you don't have old hay or straw to mulch your garlic bed with, go ahead and use those leaves that you're raking up out of your front yard. I would recommend chopping them up a little bit or making sure that they stay fluffy, because one drawback to using leaves as mulch in your garden is that they will have a tendency to settle and then kind of seal the soil, which can really lead to your garlic or your seeds or whatever's underneath of that rotting away. They're really not the best mulch to put over areas where you're going to be growing things, but if it's all you have, use what you have. And you, like I said, just want to go around and fluff it up every once in a while to make sure that it's not just mashing down and sealing in the garden. So the garlic bed's all set. Let's head inside, check on the progress for the tomato soup, and see what else Shelly and the boys are up to. What do you guys got going on in here?
I'm just trying to get the broth.
Chicken broth?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at those roasty tomatoes. So the other thing that was going on while I was outside planting garlic was Josh and Shelly were working on their edible map of the United States. So this is one of the great things about homeschooling, is that we're able to eat our homework. Right, Josh?
Yeah.
Right? All right, so Josh is just going to go over with you some of the land features here that he put onto his chocolate chip United States of America. All right, so Josh, show me what we got here.
The chocolate chips are the mountains. Well, there's
so
still some in the bad.
So which mountain range is this right here?
Those are the Rockies.
Rocky Mountains. All right, so what's the rest of these icing and sprinkles represent here?
This is the Great Lakes. Well, we could have added some of the other ones. We just didn't have the room.
Okay.
And this is the... Mom, is this Mississippi River? This one?
You tell me.
This is the Mississippi River.
Okay.
This is the Missouri River.
Okay.
But it's kind of covered because of Lewis and Clark's trek across the United States.
Okay, and that's what the red represents?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
then...
this black with the green sprinkles inside
yeah,
is the Louisiana Purchase.
Ah, the Louisiana Purchase. All right. Well, cool. So when are we eating this? Is this dessert tonight?
I guess.
All right. Looking forward to it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been an eventful afternoon so far. We really enjoy sharing our days with you and the activities we have going on around the homestead here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future updates and all the other going-ons here around the homestead. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, God bless.